It would seem that just about everything I was going to say has been covered off by the previous speakers. So there will be some repetition, which is a good way to learn. And I'm going to share with you my story, which has failure, fear, and the other two F words that were mentioned. My purpose is to help people overcome their fear, find their voices, and share their passion, their ideas, their knowledge with those people around the world, around your communities. There's nothing worse than having something in your heart that needs to be said and not being able to say it. Some of you know my story, some of you don't. For 7 years, I was a medical microbiologist. I was doing a good job, but I was being overlooked for promotion. And I wondered why. New graduates were being promoted over me. I'd done some medical research. So with great trepidation, I set up a meeting with my big director. His name was Mike. And I said to him, Mike, what's going on? And his reply is still with me. What he said was, Peter, you will never be a senior scientist. You will never be a lab manager. You are just not up to it. Your communication skills are so bad, they're so poor, that you should be grateful you've got a job. No one else will ever give you an opportunity to work. Just go away. I swore at my boss, I shall not repeat what I said. I slammed the door in his face and I walked out of that door. Probably not a good career move, but what Mike had done to me was he'd stripped me down bare and revealed my vulnerability, my inability to communicate. I used to communicate via pen and paper. Every word I used to write down. At home, my wife, who's sitting in the table down there, would answer the telephone. At a restaurant, she would order for me. When a tradesman would knock at the door, she would be my voice. You see, I'm a person who stutters. My stutter was so bad that I was unable to communicate. I managed to get through high school and I got through university and I'm now employed. But yet again, I've got to prove that I can do the job, that I can be a leader. Yet again, I'm being discriminated against. I'm showing you a video of me 30 years ago, and I've been asked some simple questions. My name, my address, and where do I live? It takes me 3 minutes and still no words come out. And when I finally create word, a spray of saliva and blood from biting in my tongue comes out. So I gave up speaking because people would walk away from me, they would ignore me, they would hide from me. On the telephone, they would hang up. And I share my story with you for the simple reason, those of you who are out here who are aspiring speakers, those of you who are already speaking, you can achieve anything you want to. And when people see that video, they often ask me, so Peter, how did you get from being an elective mute? How did you get from being unable to speak for most of your life to now being a professional speaker, being a CSP, going around Australia, speaking for your living? How did you make that transition? So that's what I want to share with you, because people will put up barriers in your career. You'll be told you're not good enough. You'll be discriminated against. And I don't want anyone to feel stuck or incapacitated the way I did. So the first step that I took in my decision to change was I had to take responsibility. This was ownership. For most of my life, I'd hidden behind my pencil, my notepad, my avoidance. I hid behind people. I avoided meetings anywhere where I might have to speak. The reverse of taking responsibility is playing the blame game or being in the victim mentality. And that was me 100%. I used to blame everyone. My parents, it was their fault. They did not take me to speech pathology. My boss, he was really bad. He was a terrible man. It was his fault I wasn't being promoted. My school teacher that gave me a hard time. In fact, I may as well blame you. It's your fault that I could not speak. You don't get anywhere by being in the victim mentality. So when I sought out speech pathology, then I did some Toastmasters and I started to face my fear. Then my opportunities changed. It worked beautifully this morning. I was here at 6 a.m. to test everything out. But I noticed since then, they've changed the settings, they've put in their own, there's been some Macs, and so mine no longer works. The second step, no, I'll just take a step back. So within your speaking career, are you taking responsibility for every aspect? Are you in control? Are you doing the marketing? Are you doing the networking that you've heard about? It wasn't until I decided to take that step, that positive action, that I was able to move from a position of not being able to speak to speaking. And then further action to now speaking for my living. The second step that I had to do was I had to do regular positive habits. You need to get in the habit of doing stuff. Procrastination is a habit. I had to get in the habit of speaking. So one of the many habits I do is I try and speak every day. So if I'm not speaking at a convention, I'll be running a workshop. If I'm not running a workshop, I'll find a Toastmasters club. I was in Harvard University about 4 weeks ago. I found 2 Toastmasters clubs that I attended. If I can't find a Toastmasters club, I agreed to speak on Philippine radio for Lloyd. And then, if I can't find a Toastmasters club, then I'll Skype someone. Unlike you guys, this thing we call speaking does not come automatically. I pride myself in that I'm bilingual. I speak 2 languages. I speak fluent English, but my native tongue is stuttered English. And when I wake up in the morning, it is so much easier to stutter. So this is hard work for me. At your tables, it seems I've got time because the video is not playing. Have a chat to the person next to you. What positive habit, if you started to do tomorrow, and it might be around the networking you've heard about, it might be around the social media, it might be around search engine optimization. What habit, if you started to do tomorrow, would make the biggest benefit to your presentation? I'll give you about a minute. Have a chat to the person next to you. What habit can you get into? I'll give you 2 minutes. All right. Thank you. Thank you. The thing with habits, if we think about them and we do nothing, then nothing changes. So it's the action that I really want you to take. So my third step, had you seen and heard the video, most people say to me, that is a remarkable change. How did you go from being unable to speak to being a professional speaker? And what's remarkable for me is the team of people that I surrounded myself with. It might be the scientist within me, but when you try to overcome adversity, reach a goal, achieve something in your life, you're far better served by a team of people around you. So my speech pathologist, my Toastmasters club, my coach, And as professional speakers, you need a mastermind group. And of course, it's also a business. So who's your financial advisor? Who's in your team at the moment as a speaker or as an aspiring speaker? Which groups do you belong to besides PAPS? Who's going to guide you and help you? One of the best things is to get yourself a mentor. My journey was not something I did alone. Who's in your team and who's missing in your team? Find someone to add that capacity, that skill. Otherwise, I would still be hiding behind my pencil. I'd be answering to Mike, and I wouldn't be living a life of my potential. So they're my 3 steps. Take ownership, responsibility. Start doing some positive habits that will help you. And the 3rd step, get yourself the right team. You're meant to start with why. I've told you what to do and how. I haven't started with why. So I'm going to end with why. Can we forward the slide, please? So the firsts, yes, that was the other F, the firsts. One of the F's, the first. The first time that I spoke was at my father's funeral when I delivered the eulogy. The first time I spoke in front of a group of people was age 41, and the task I decided to attempt speaking was delivering my father's eulogy. That's my father there. That's me as a 2-year-old. My dad was an older man. As I'm preparing my father's eulogy, I realise I'm comparing 2 men. My father left school at the age of 12. His father died. He became the breadwinner for his mother and his 6 younger siblings. An uneducated man, but he learnt to manage the family farm. He learnt to manage the finances. He became a football coach and a cricket coach, later becoming awarded life membership to both cricket and football for his services to the community. My father then went on and became president of the local International Lions Club. And later on, he became Senior Citizen of the Year, voted by his community. My father also stuttered badly. The second man I was looking at was myself as I'm preparing my father's eulogy. A man born with a silver spoon in his mouth, been sent off to boarding school, to college, university degree, medical science, microbiology, postgraduate qualifications. A man hiding behind his fears. A man too afraid to speak, not living my life because of self-limiting beliefs. And as I delivered my father's eulogy, I realised that this was his parting gift. He was going to give me the courage to change my life. So from age 41 onwards, I made a commitment to myself that I would never, ever let fear be the reason I don't do what I need to do, that I don't speak up. And if I stutter, then so be it. So Mike, my boss from all those years ago, he showed me what I needed to do. He showed me that what I was doing wasn't good enough. What my father showed me was how that I could change, how to do it. My father showed me with courage, determination, persistence, and by facing my fears that I could succeed. So what I say to you as emerging speakers, existing speakers, great global speakers, if I can stand here and speak to you this afternoon. Just imagine if you dealt with your fears, your insecurities, your self-doubt. Just imagine what you could achieve. Thank you.